Spurs Bros, how's it going? Episode 5. We've got a full house again. All four of us here to talk Spurs over the last week. Go 2-2. We're going to touch on the Jeremy Sohan injury that broke today. We're going to go through Pop's indefinite leave of absence and talk about Wimby's rim protection. We're going to talk Spurs scription, the Hawks are bums, everything in between over the last week, and preview the next four games. And we've got a special edition, new tradition here on the pod, Spurs Bros Film Breakdown. Coach Alec Bogus is going to take us through what he's been seeing over the last week with Chris Paul and his pick and roll mastery, artistry. Stay tuned. Check us out on socials, Instagram at Spurs Bros Podcast, Twitter at Spurs Bros Pod, and on YouTube where you can watch the full episodes each week.
All righty, gang. Welcome back to another edition of the Spurs Bros Pod. I am your host, Alec Bogus. These are my co-hosts, Tim Mendez, Stuart Lynch, and Reagan Keough. Oh,
Spurs
boys, how are we?
gang.
Yeah.
How
What's
we
up,
doing?
fellas?
How are we feeling about last week? Spurs Bros, for those who don't know, since we last spoke, we went 2-2. We had a really good chance to win 3 out of the 4. Instead, we only won 2 out of the 4. So we did split it. I was the one who called it. I'm not gonna brag or anything, but I did say we would lose the bookends and win the middle 2, which we did. So I was happy about that. We lost to the Thunder. We got crushed by the Thunder, as we expected. We played over there, and then we played against the Jazz, and we won pretty handily, 106-88. And then we played against Minnesota, which was a great win. The boys came to play, and then we ended up losing last night to the Clippers, which was a tough loss. So, any high-level thoughts about those 4 games? Anything that kind of stood out to you guys before we get more in detail?
500 ball. 500 ball, like you said last week. We come out of this 2-2. I think we could be pretty happy. It included a back-to-back on the road. We were able to pull it off. The win against Minnesota was a really, really strong win, I thought. And the only other kind of high-level thing that we'll get into here in a second was that Clippers game came out on fire. Our group chat was going nuts. We looked great on offense.
Yep.
Julian was hitting threes. Cass was making an impact. I think Stu said we looked sexy.
Quote unquote.
Yeah, literally. I mean, we haven't said that about the Spurs offense in God knows how long.
Yeah.
So major disappointment. I thought to end up blowing it like we did, ended up losing by I think 12, 8 or 12 points. When we were up 20 plus, looked a lot like last year and the year before. So that was a disappointment, but like you said, Al, 2-2 on this past week of games. I'll take it.
Yep. We ended up losing to the Clippers by 9, 113-104. So
There it is.
yeah, that
Yeah.
was
Yeah, I had the same thought about the Clippers game about how it just took you back to the last couple of years. Like we would get these big leads and just couldn't hold on to the leads to save our lives. And
Yep.
like the ball starts sticking, we start taking really just dumb shots and start getting a little just taking your foot off the gas and not playing as hard on defense. Not, Pop always preaches playing all 48 minutes,
Mhm.
and now Pop's not there to, kick some guys in the ass. Uh, so yeah, that was really disappointing last night. We could have been a game over 500. Now we're a game under, and tough game at Houston tomorrow night. But then we have a couple hopefully easier couple games at home coming up after that. So hopefully get above 500 in the next 3 games.
Yep. Stu,
We got to
anything?
come out 2-2. We'll take it. Kind of tough that last night's game was the one that we blew, and we could have come out 3-1. But
Yeah.
we'd all kind of agree if we would have been 2-2 coming out of last week, we'd all take it in a heartbeat. So
Yeah.
it sucks that we aren't 3-1, but we'll take 2-2. And just the main thing this season is just stick around that 500. Let's try to make it in at the end.
Yep. 100%. We don't really need to cover the Oklahoma City game too much, but
Nobody wants
guess
to hear that.
yeah, but I guess just one of the main things that I took from that game was just their defensive intensity was off the charts, and they made us look so bad. They literally shut down Wemby to a career low. I think it was 6 points.
Yep.
He was still coming off of a cold, it seemed like. So I don't know if that had to do with anything, if that's why he was kind of playing down. But my goodness gracious, anytime he touched the ball, they swarmed him. Anytime we got into the paint and we tried to kick out, they had three guys touching the ball, tipping the ball. They were literally everywhere. And so, I mean, that's next level stuff. I mean, that's where we're trying to be. And as we kind of talked about before we started the podcast, I mean, we're looking good on defense. So I think we have a top 10 defense in the NBA now, at least so far. But man, they're on another level. So that was really disappointing to see, even though we kind of already expected that we lose.
Yeah, I mean, nationally televised game, TNT, we got the Chet Wemby rivalry that's building up. Everybody wants to hype that up, and rightfully so. I think the one thing I wanted to say about that, the few possessions where they actually guarded each other, whether Wemby had the ball or Chet had the ball, I think Wemby dominated the individual matchup. Now, it was only 6 or 7, 8 possessions across the game,
Mm.
but Victor won, if there was 8 possessions, he won 6 of them. Chet couldn't get to his spots. I think he had a putback or something, and then Wemby was getting to his. I mean, it was pretty clear that Chet doesn't want any part of that defensive matchup. He can't stay in front. Fell over one time over in the corner. So while Chet had a much better game, the Thunder
Yep.
kicked our ass. The individual one-on-one matchup, I thought Wemby did really well with, but you add Caruso to an already really good defense. They schemed it up real nice. They were defending the entry passes on the elbows. Like you said, Alec, they were sliding on those skip passes, getting in passing lanes, just disrupting everything. And Lou Dort hit 7 threes, 8 threes. If Lou Dort's going to hit 7 threes in a game, there's no shot with that Thunder group.
Gosh.
So really, really tough thing. They're 5 years ahead of us on the progression. When they got SGA and started building around him. So nothing to be ashamed of, but yeah, that was my one thing was all the headlines, Chet outduels Wemby.
Right.
The actual one-on-one, I think Vic did a really nice job.
Yeah.
Exactly. Couldn't agree more. Yeah, when it came down to it, they're just a way better team than us. But yes, in the 1v1, Chet was running away. He was being an absolute puss all night. He had his 17 points for making 3 threes, so didn't do much else. And those threes came early in transition, wide open shots.
Right.
But yeah, when Wemby took it to him, there's nothing he could do about it, just like last year when we saw it. But again, they're just a better team. Like you said, they're 5 years ahead of us, and that's just going to have to be that. For now, we can only worry about us. But we're looking better from this past week. We also talked about Chris, and he's playing a lot better now, being way more aggressive, and he played a big part in our couple of wins. But yeah, we're looking better. Can't worry about anyone else other than ourselves.
OKC has been making everyone look like they made us look. And, Wemby started the season out playing more on the perimeter, like we've talked about. I think that's a game where he needs to definitely play more in the paint because they have so many perimeter defenders that they can throw at him. I think it was a lot of Jalen Williams that game. I could be wrong, but
Yeah, it was.
if it's not Jalen Williams, it's Caruso, it's Dort, even Kason Wallace. Like, yeah, they're just stacked. So,
And that stuff
not
pisses me off. When a 7'6", I know Wemby, he wants to be KD, all that. He's not his strongest yet. He's still 21 years old, 20, whatever he is. His strength will come with age and when he grows to a man. But I cannot stand when a big man is just standing down the 3-point line and is afraid to go post up a six. It pisses me off so much.
Yeah.
One thing about Wemby right now, he still plays very young. He still plays very young, which is fair. But he's got to learn when you have a foot on someone, catch the ball, go to work down low, wait for that double to come, then kick it out. But it's just, it was frustrating. I'm sick of that shit.
Yeah,
Man.
I agree. They were denying a lot of stuff and they were sending help on those entry passes, trying to pick them out. But yeah, hopefully that's an adjustment we can make. I think we have to scheme that a lot better so that he can actually take advantage of those. Because I don't feel like he actually got the touches on the paint or on the block that much. I think a lot of this stuff was he was 3 of 13 from the 3-point line. And yeah, he was catching on the elbows a lot, which I know is a spot. But yeah, Stu, like I don't even think he was looking for the ball or trying to go post up at the block. So I totally get what you're saying.
Yeah, and last year, this wasn't really happening yet. Last year, he was still going up against all the fives around the league because no one really knew what to do with Wemby yet, how to handle him. This year, it seems all the teams are just going with we're going to put our best defender, our strongest guy, no matter what size he is, on Wemby. And,
Yes.
we know he's not going to take you down low. So Wemby's really got to get stronger, a better core. And, if he could get an inside game and to work his way out, unstoppable.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. We talked about that last podcast of it's almost opposite of the guards where it's like if you could get started hot from outside, everything becomes easier. Back doors because people are trying to overplay you. Quick up fake, get to the basket. But with him, if he could just establish himself inside, it makes, pull up transition. I mean, it makes that a lot
make
easier.
It to where they have to have a 7-footer guard you, not to where they can put a 6'5" strong guard on you like Lou Dort or whoever to guard him. He just sucks.
Yeah, as a guy that played center, if you can get a couple of good looks down around the rim, it opens up other things. We like to set those cross screens or those up cross screens for him to come across the paint. If he gets a couple of those early, the counter to that as they start to shade and send a second guy early is you go pop to the elbow, little catch and shoot from 15 feet. That's real easy. You can come off a second screen off of that, get to the 3-point line, get an easier look for there. So
Right.
yeah, I agree. You establish it's the exact opposite, Alec, like you said. For the big guys, if I'm him, I want to go get those couple early buckets once I see that mismatch starting. Just saying like, no, that's not going to work. You're going to have to do something different for me.
Totally. And it's, you hear this cliche, one of the most cliche lines is, man, all they needed to see was the ball go in the basket, when they get to the free throw line, hey, just one free throw, that's all it takes. And at least they saw the ball go in the basket. That could just, restart them, rekindle them. And so it's like, I would rather him just be really aggressive, try to get fouled, even if he doesn't try to go get fouled. Again, he had James Harden was guarding him. He had Dylan Brooks. I mean, you've got all these, again, like you said, Stu, just guys who are a foot smaller than him. And he's not trying to face them up and just go rip through, just go right up in their face and then just see what happens. I like that better than, kick, no look, shovel passes, whatever he's doing. But what I wanted to mention is we all played really, really well against Minnesota. So in that win, Jeremy Sohan continued to impress. He posted 19 points, 10 boards, a steal, and a block. Chris Paul had 15 points, 13 assists, four rebounds, shot 3 of 6 from 3. And then Wemby had 17 points, 6 boards, 2 blocks. And then Keldon, last but not least, he led the team in scoring that night with 25 points and 8 boards. So that was amazing. And so one of the cool things that I saw come out of this game was Chris Paul, as you said, Stu, as you alluded to earlier in the podcast, being really aggressive and leading the team. And I just wanted to kind of lead this into the inaugural, if it's okay with you guys, Spurs Bros film breakdown. I pulled together a couple of clips of Chris Paul and action with Wemby and a couple of others. Okay, so as soon as Chris Paul signed with the Spurs, everyone talked about, oh my gosh, CP3 to Wemby lobs and pick and rolls. This is what we're going to live for. This is amazing. And so this is exactly what Spurs fans were looking for. This is the first clip. High pick and roll. Beautiful. It's amazing. It's all great.
Easy pocket pass.
It's an easy pocket pass. Every starting point guard in the NBA should be able to make that read for sure. But again, this is sort of the thing that everyone was talking about, CP3 to Wemby. But what nobody was talking about was CP3 and Jeremy Sohan. Jeremy Sohan's amazing, as we've talked about a couple times on this podcast already. He's already unlocked another part of his game, but it's really interesting to see how the Spurs have used him. So you'll see right here, high screen and roll. CP3 is getting picked up around 3/4 court, and Jeremy comes and sets him a screen about mid-court.
Real high.
Rolls hard to the basket. I love it. It's beautiful because Jeremy is so strong that Chris Paul's guy can't even fight over the screen hard. DiVincenzo doesn't know what to do. Rolls to the basket. Nice play. Next up, same thing here. Same exact action. They don't know what to do. Beautiful pocket pass.
That's a tough pass.
Exactly. And so that's what obviously I think that's an elite pass right there for an elite point guard. But then here's what happens. And so we talked about early in the podcast is what are the Spurs going to do when other teams put their small forwards or power forwards on Wemby and they put their center on our small forward or power forward. And so I think we've just decided to just go ahead and attack that, right? So you've got Rudy Gobert, who's the reigning defensive player of the year. And now you're seeing watch what happens here. You see he's going to come off the screen, Gobert in drop coverage, has to make a read, literally just gets to walk into the shot.
You can't get
Same
Chris
thing
Paul that
again.
shot.
Same thing again. Same drop coverage. Don't know what to do. Again, Jeremy is setting really hard screens. It's really hard for guys to fight over the top. So they don't know whether to do, whether to switch it, whether to get back. And so look
Is
what
Jaden
happens here.
McDaniels on ball right there too?
Yeah. And then this last one, again, this is awesome, which I love to see, which is CP3. And now you've got Rudy Gobert guarding our small forward. You've got him guarding literally Keldon Johnson. And I think our coaching staff is just like, you know what, we're just going to fucking attack it, right? There's no way that any center's going to be able to keep up with our versatile small forward or power forward. So you see right here, pick and pop. And he says, take that shit. Fucking and one, boy. Let's go. So
Right by his ass.
yeah, he got him bad, dude. So that was the inaugural Spurs Bros film breakdown. I wanted to show you guys because I thought it was just really cool how we are attacking that. Number one, the Wemby conundrum of, how do we attack the small forward, power forward, and the center, and then also how we're just using Sohan and unlocking a new part of his game. So
It's really good because like we talked about early on, everything that was busting that up was when Wemby was rolling to the paint and the center is able to stick down there. So by doing this, Wemby can go do his own thing, move off ball, set a down screen on the backside or something, and we're basically saying, okay, our athletic Keldon Johnson, Sohan, Harrison Barnes, whoever that's going to end up being, like we saw on these clips. You can go right by Rudy Gobert. You can go right by a Zubac. You can go right by a Walker Kessler. If those guys can't guard them on the perimeter. So
exactly.
I think it's a really good adjustment that we made. We saw it was a problem preseason. But that's why we've got a great coaching staff. Pop, Brett Brown, Mitch Johnson. They came up with a counter to that pretty quick. So I'm glad that they're shutting that down because that looked like it was going to be a problem.
That was a great breakdown. It sucks that we're not going to be seeing that from Jeremy for a while. But
Yes.
but yeah, even when the pass isn't there, Chris Paul is so smart and experienced, and we talked about him being more aggressive, and he's not going to shy away from taking that mid-range, and it's been money the last 2 or 3 games. Preseason, you're kind of experimenting, but there are a few preseason games where he wasn't looking for his shot at all, and I was a little concerned. But yeah, he's looked a lot better these last few games, and I hope he keeps looking for his shot.
Yeah, do y'all want to talk about Jeremy real quick?
Break the news, dude. Break the news to the Spurs Bros.
Yeah, right before we got on the pod, Shams came out and said that he's got he exited the game last night, second quarter. So news came out, fractured left thumb. It's going to require surgery in about a week's time. And I'm not a doctor, so disclaimer, this is not Dr. Keogh coming in, but just a quick Google before the pod on here, seeing anything from kind of 3 to 6 weeks as you get your general abilities back, range of motion, and then for sports injuries, it's usually a 6 to 8 week kind of time period. Malcolm Brogdon, about a month ago, had a similar issue. 6 to 8 weeks is what they gave him for a timeline. So 6 to 8 weeks without Jeremy, we're not getting him back till Christmas or early January. Not what we want to see. We talked about it last week, man. He was given a freaking case for MIP, most improved
Yes.
player. He was killing these guys, and that's kind of exactly what happened in LA. Jeremy goes down and blow the shit out of that lead. We're so fast, can't even keep up. So, yeah, that's a real bummer.
Yeah, super tough for Jeremy, super tough for us. He's freaking been our best player on the team so far. He's been carrying us on games. He's locked up somewhat Luka. He definitely locked up Harden
Fat boy
all
Luka,
last
fat
night.
boy Harden.
Both of them fat boys. Locked him up, and once he went out, you could clearly tell Harden got way more aggressive last night, and that's what ultimately led the comeback. Everyone started getting wide open shots they were hitting, so it's super tough for us. I fully expect that Mamu's going to come in and start for him. That's what I really think is going to happen. Obviously, we have no one on our team who can replace Jeremy's defense, but Mamu, I think, will be a little more versatile on the offensive end. So I don't know what you guys are thinking, but that's what I'm thinking. Mamu will get a lot of minutes moving forward, at least 20 a game for the next 6 day weeks. And obviously that's what we wanted. We want him to be playing for freaking Zach, but I think you know how we play. It's next man up in line. That's how Spurs basketball is played. We're all about the system, and that's my call. I think Mamu's going to be getting those starting minutes, and maybe that end up opening up more for Wimby and whoever ends up starting. Devin,
Yeah.
like you guys are thinking if Devin starts, but yeah, Mamu's obviously way
Devin or
better of a
Julian.
shooter than Jeremy. So yeah, I think it'll open up our starting five a little more, and we'll just have to make up Jeremy's defensiveness on that side of the
Yeah, I
ball.
mean, Mamu came in right away, knocked down that three-pointer, top of the
Yeah,
key on the
that's
kickout.
what I'm thinking is going to
That's
happen.
what
We'll
we're
see what
missing from
does
Jeremy.
happen, but yeah, I think Mamu will be the next guy up. I mean, we don't really have another four on the team, quite frankly. So
Yeah,
Mamu's that
I
6'8",
think
6'9" body.
you were out of the box last week with telling us to leave Vassell on the bench. So I'm going to go out of the box. What if we slot Harrison Barnes to the four and move everybody basically up a position? Because Devin's about to be back. So I don't
Right.
know if he'll be back our next game. But if that's the case, then we could go,
Leave
Chris
Julian
Paul,
in.
Devin
He just
Vassell,
goes to
leave
three.
Julian at the three, Harrison Barnes at the four. We kind of go small around Wimby. We would maintain the same kind of quickness and add a ton of scoring, basically putting in Vassell for Sohan.
That could work. Um, I hate that second five, quite frankly.
Yeah,
But
I would love to have the size still of Mamu in the starting group compared to
yeah,
Harrison. I mean, Harrison Barnes 6'8", he's a big body, but I think Mamu can take a little bit more of a beating without as much expected of him on the offensive end. So yeah, I kind of like Mamu in there, but I was just thinking of that as you said that. Maybe we just kind of slot everybody down once Devin comes in. But if Devin's not going to be back next game, then yeah, I mean, Mamu's going to have to slide in for sure.
I think that's right. We haven't talked about Trey Jones. When is he coming back and what happened to him specifically? I didn't even read up on it.
Just an ankle sprain, I think. But
Okay.
Yeah.
there hasn't been much of an update though. I feel like there's been more of an
Right.
update on Devin. So I don't
Yeah.
know. Maybe it was a
It
worse ankle
said,
there.
yeah,
I don't know.
said he was expected to miss at least 2 weeks.
Okay.
Um, and I
Yeah, he
think
hasn't
we've
really
only
played.
played the
First,
first game.
yeah.
So I don't know. He should be reevaluated here soon, but yeah, I
Okay.
said initially 2 weeks, as of October 26th was at least 2 weeks.
Hmm.
So
Well, in the
we're
meantime, yeah, Mamo will get more minutes. Stefan will get more minutes, of course. I'm looking forward to seeing both of them more.
I was gonna say the same thing as Reagan though, that once Devin comes back, I think you just slide everybody down and yeah, Barnes the four, Julian can be the three. Because Julian's low key, what, like 6'7"? So
Yeah.
yeah, Julian's a
I think that
proper
could work
yeah,
three.
I
just fine.
forget.
And in the meantime, I don't know. I still don't know if Mamu actually starts. He'll get more minutes, but like maybe Keldon slides in there for the time being. I don't know. We'll see.
Devin's not back. Yeah.
Yeah, until Devin
It's gonna
gets
come
back.
down to trust from Mitch Johnson with Mamu.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Well, Reagan, speaking of Mitch Johnson, do you want to break the other news to the Spurs
I
bros?
guess I guess I'm the journalist for the day.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, another Shams report came down. Pop out indefinitely. Everybody say a prayer for our commander-in-chief, Greg Popovich, has got some undisclosed medical illness that he's dealing with. Spurs are being real tight-lipped about it. They're not letting
Mhm.
any details go. Typical Spurs. Shams trying to come on ESPN this afternoon, stir the pot, trying to say that it's some massive deal and everybody's worried and everything. I don't personally want to open myself up to that. So, Pop, speedy recovery, whatever you're dealing with, take a nap, brother, have a glass of wine. I hope
Yeah.
to see you back on the sideline soon. But all I'll say is the way that that fucking tweet was worded, Shams, I started reading that at work and I just felt this emotion flood over me, man. I thought we lost Pop for a second. So
Same.
thank God he's, still here and around and sounds like he's going to be back at some point. But holy shit,
Yeah.
that's not going to be a fun day whenever that happens. So I'm hoping that we have many more years of Greg Popovich.
Same here, man. You saw people on Twitter being like, I wanted a new coach, but I didn't want it this way. And
Yeah,
because
fuck
yeah, I was
off.
like, yeah, get out of here, bro. Um, so
Yeah,
yeah,
some guy was like, it's bigger than basketball, but is Mitch Johnson the next coach? Is he good enough? I'm like,
yeah,
dude, come on. You can't say
comma,
that. You
but yeah.
can't.
I think when Pop passes, it won't be obviously the level of Kobe because that was so tragic and sudden. But with how big the Spurs branch is around the league, I could
Yeah.
definitely see some sort. A lot of coaches will want to be in attendance for his service. We're not going to talk about it, but yeah, it's
Yeah,
Yeah.
it'll have a big impact on the league when
big
that
impact. Yeah, I
happens.
agree.
Right.
Yes, just because of our Spurs branch going out so far across the league.
And speaking of next man up, as Stu said, Mitch Johnson was the next man up to coach the Spurs. He did a good job, I think, in the last two games. I think, as he said, his synopsis over the last game since we lost the Clippers was they got hot and we started taking a risk. We didn't get back to fundamentals. And so we kind of got a little sloppy there at the end. So it was a mixture of both. So things happen. I think he did a good job. As you said, Stu, as you pointed out, he was kind of fiery on the sidelines, which is also good. He was breeding the passion. So I liked him there. We'll see how long he gets to be in that head coaching spot, but will be really interesting to see how he deviates with Pop's, I guess, minutes, rotations. Obviously, the offense is going to say the same. So it'll be interesting to see that.
I got faith in him right now. He's been here for 6 years. He knows our guys. I think we'll be all right in the meantime.
I'm glad we made him the interim head coach. I thought if Pop ever has to miss some games, might give it to Brett Brown because he's the older guy who's
Right.
been around a while. He's already been a head coach in the league, so I'm glad it's Mitch Johnson.
Same. Supposedly, somebody said that he was the finalist for the Wizards
That,
coaching
that's
job, I
that's
believe.
just where I was getting at. Yes, I didn't know any
Okay.
of that, but apparently, yeah, we almost lost him over the summer to be the head coach for the Wizards. So I mean, he's prepared, he's ready.
Yeah,
He'll
he's
be
he's
the next young guy.
Next,
And,
Will Hardy.
yep, unless he becomes ours one day. But yeah, I'm sure he's next in line somewhere around the league to go.
Speaking of that Clippers loss as well. Wemby had 24 points, 13 rebounds, and 9 blocks. He almost had a triple double with blocks. I think he's now number 2 in active players with I think stocks. It is double digit stocks. Yeah, which is
Yeah.
awesome. And which was a crazy stat was that all 30 teams played last night because there's no games tonight. We're recording on election night, and I think he outblocked every other team except maybe the
The
Nuggets.
the Nuggets
Yeah,
at the very end
Nuggets
of the
had
night.
10,
Yeah.
Wemby 9, and then the rest of the league 8 or
Oh my
below.
gosh, he's so good. And so what kind of stood out to me with Wemby is he had his monster stat line, but it still felt like he hasn't had a oh shoot, like here he is. This is the generational Wemby. It's a crazy stat line. It's almost like I'm already starting to compare him and put him in the same category as LeBron as far as standards goes. So early in his career, right? 24 points, 13 boards, and 9 blocks, but I still felt like he didn't have the greatest game. He didn't shoot well from the three again. Abysmal, actually. He shot 2 of 9, so 22%. That's just not good numbers. And he had a couple of turnovers toward the end. Again, late in the game, he caught the ball on the block and he kicked it out, swung it to Jeremy when we were down. And just got a bad shot out of it. I'd rather him just turn around and be aggressive. It just didn't seem like he's there yet. Does that make sense? And how
Yeah,
do
I
y'all feel
think
about that?
you're talking about LeBron standards, and I think that's he's the
Yeah.
most hyped up prospect since LeBron. So I think I get some of that. But the thing that was I think different about Braun when he was, first, second, third year in the league was his poise was better than and his ability to think the game was better than literally anybody I've ever seen. At
Right.
that age, that true age, I mean Duncan was second year, won a championship, but he was 24 by that point. So LeBron was 19, Wemby's 20. So yeah, he's making some 20-year-old mistakes. He's got a couple turnovers. But after the game, he said, I know I didn't shoot all that well from three, but that's part of my game. It's gonna happen. I'm gonna shoot threes. Before Pop went out, he reinforced that himself. Mitch Johnson said the same thing. So my hope is that he's still getting his legs under him. We're 7 games into the year. As we kind of round into form and his conditioning starts to get peak levels and everything. He gets the legs under him. I hope that number will go up. I mean, he shot a better percentage last year, so I'd expect it
Yeah.
to. But if it is something where we got to go through a couple of these nights with him going 2 for 9, at least clean up the turnovers, man. That's the only thing. I mean, that you can control a lot more than the ball going in.
Yeah.
So that's my thought is, yeah, he's got some young turnovers, but we're gonna have to live with the threes and just hope it gets better.
And so that was my my thought was like, do you think him and Pop had that conversation with saying, "Hey, I
Yeah.
want to develop into this kind of player. Just want to let you know right now." And so as he had that 13, he shot 13 threes against the Jazz, and he only made 3 of them. And Coach Pop after the game was like, no, we want him doing that. We want him being, face toward the basket, not, back to the basket kind of guy, kind of player. So
I
he
definitely
obviously
do.
defended him. Yeah. So I
I
guess
definitely
that's,
do. I mean, he talked about it
yeah,
last year, right? He said like, "Hey, we're trying to figure out Wemby's game. We're trying to figure out what he does best, what he doesn't do great, what he wants to do, and we're going to adjust from there." So I think, yeah, I think that's probably definitely not probably. I think that's definitely a conversation that was had over the summer of like what worked, what didn't, what do we have to improve on, despite not great efficiency. So
right.
yeah, I
Now,
definitely do.
all right. So now there's that versus other people who say, who gives a fuck what you want? Like, we're trying to win out here. Like, you probably should be 5 to 7 feet from the basket. Just turn around using your 8 foot wingspan and
That
trying to get
sounds like
easy buckets
Stu.
on the exactly. So there, I don't know. There's an interesting balance there of like how much is, developing him however he wants to versus whatever it takes to win games. He gets in the post. I'm not knocking him at all. But just interesting.
I've started to accept the fact that he's just gonna keep taking these threes. I don't like all the threes, but at the same time, I like that he's not shying away from them. It's not shaking his confidence. I still don't like the beginning of the shot clock threes where he just pulls up from damn near the logo, but
Yeah.
I,
Yeah.
I want those to stop. No, when he's open, I want him to keep shooting and not shake his confidence and
When those go in, they're sick.
get that out of his game or something.
He had one in like the second game, I think. Everybody was talking shit after night one. He couldn't
Yeah.
hit anything against the Mavericks, and then that second game against Houston, he came out, fucking banged one from the logo. I mean, they're sick when they go in, but yeah, he's
Yeah.
pulling those way too much. I think we can get some better shots for him.
Yeah, we've talked about it a lot already. He looks up to, he wants to be way more of a KD
Yeah.
than a Shaq per se.
Yeah,
So he wants to be a jack of all trades. Maybe one day, if he can create way more of a inside game, we all think that do him wonders. But for
Yeah.
now, as you said, Reagan, we're just gonna have to live with it. He's going to be shooting his threes. He's going to be taking some bad shots off of one dribble pull ups, but we're gonna have to live with it. And he becomes a way better shooter, then we won't be bitching at all about it.
Right. So what's
yeah.
interesting about his profile though is that like because he's so freakishly tall that you'll see he's got an incredible footwork. He's got guard skills, his little snatchbacks and step backs, and he takes really interesting angles to get space. So he avoids contact. But when somebody does give him contact and a guy is a foot shorter than him, it kind of throws him off. And so like he's shooting fadeaways, which is really interesting. So I'm wondering how that like develops into his game. KD is just 5 inches shorter than him, and he was just extra smooth with it, like right. So there's a little bit difference there. I'm just really curious to see how that all works out and plays out. Obviously, he can
Yeah, he's
shoot
gonna
over
build up his
anybody.
core. Yeah,
Yeah,
he's gonna build up
yeah,
his core. Honestly, bro, like a guy that's 6'8", when he gets that push, it's gonna be right at his waist compared to, midsection or chest.
right.
Like the big guys, he's so damn tall. If a 6'4" guy's got a mismatch and he's pushing on him, he's pushing right at his hips, basically. So
Yeah,
might not just have that lower body strength. I've noticed it up top, but like maybe the lower body strength just ain't there yet.
yeah.
Um, yeah, it'll take some time. As you said it earlier, once he becomes a man,
All right.
he'll be able to hold his own a little bit more.
Reagan, you kind of wanted to talk about Wemby. Speaking of after that 5-by-5 game that he had against the Jazz.
Well, the one thing that I saw number one was his rim protection is truly, truly elite. There's no other way to put it. So, saw the stat today. Shout out on Twitter at Spurs Stats Video. Hell of a stat here. So when Wemby defends a shot near the rim, so less than 6 feet away, opponents are shooting 35.5%. 35.5% within 6 feet of the basket in the National Basketball Association. That's by far the lowest in the NBA. The league average is 62%. So he's holding guys to almost half of what the rest of the league is, and that's the average. Next closest guy is Chet at 42%. I mean, the stuff he's doing is insane. And that's on 9 attempts against per game. So despite all these stuff that, little things that we're nitpicking on his offensive game, his decision making, he's still the best defender in the world when it comes to rim protection, when it comes to blocking shots, when it comes to, poking out balls, deflections, steals. He's everywhere. So still love to see that. And then, Alec, I think you kind of mentioned too that like that post game interview after the 5x5 game, like you were saying, he was demanding more of himself. A lot of guys are like, damn, I just had a 5x5 game. One of three players in NBA history with Hakeem and AK-47, Andre Kirilenko, to have more than one of those in a career. But he's like, nah, man, if I can do this, like, why am I not doing it every game? Which is a crazy idea to average a 5x5 is what he's asking for himself potentially. But yeah, just those couple stats and like the expectation he's putting on himself, you
Yeah.
know that the sky is the limit.
I still get shocked and surprised um, when like a guard kind of gets around him and you're like, and he blocks it up against the backboard, and you're like, how is that not goaltending? And
Yeah.
like, I'm always expecting it like on the instant replay slow mo for it to hit the glass first, and it never does. It's crazy.
And his hand speed is crazy.
Yes. That's the other
Because
thing,
like
right?
he'll
Yeah.
block those shots like that, and even if he doesn't recover it, like he'll block it off the rim, it goes and bounces, and somebody else is like about to recover it, and then his other hand is out there poking it out, and then we're off to the races. Like he's getting a block and then a deflection back to back with different hands, like at the rim and on the floor.
Yep.
It's crazy the shit he's doing at that size. Like it's one thing to block the shot, but then to go get the ball off the ground afterwards, hand speed, coordination, it's unmatched.
Literally nobody else in the entire world could do that. So maybe Bull, according to Shaq, but that's about it. I see what
Oh,
you want to do.
one thing I want to talk about then. The Hawks are bums. The
Okay.
Hawks are bums.
Let's hear
Which is
it.
Uh,
great for us.
Yes, it is. They lost to the Wizards the other night. They were 2-4. Excuse me. They lost twice to the Wizards
Jesus.
over the past week. They were 2-4 after those couple losses. I think they might be 2-5 now. Trae Young is just Trae Young, dude. I saw a clip last night. He had the ball late in the game, clearing out, couldn't get by his defender once, couldn't get by his defender twice. Shot clock was winding down. He just chunk up some BS from the 3-point line, air ball, shot clock violation. Risa Shea is still young. We're gonna have a top 10 pick. I said it 3 weeks ago, and everybody, Tim mentioned it too. He was like surprised by all the NBA pundits talking about how good they expect the Hawks to be, sleeper team, all this shit. Get the hell out of here. The Hawks are trash. We're gonna top 10 pick. Cooper Flag, come home, baby. We're
Oh
in the best
man.
shape possible.
Oh
So let's string
God.
together some fucking wins and get that top 10 pick from the Hawks. The Hawks are bums.
All right. Tim, any response?
Oh man, I haven't watched a lot of Atlanta yet, but I've seen the Trae Young stats that you were taught. He's going to put up his numbers, but the efficiency isn't there right now. I think Jalen Johnson's missed a couple of games, and they might have one or two other injuries. They insist on sticking with Capella at center, which I'm cool with. I don't think he's that great. And Okongwu is I think he's a much better center than Capella is. So I hope they keep starting him. And yeah, it's not looking great for them so far. Two losses to the Wizards. That's not good.
Not good. As far as the stats, Tim mentioned, he's averaging 28 points, 12 assists, but on no efficiency, like you said.
So Hawks are actually ninth right now in the East. They are 3-5. And the problem is, like I was saying, is that the Bucks and the 76ers, who I think everyone thought would be at least okay, they are 1-5 and 1-6 respectively. So that doesn't help us much.
It's the Bucks and the Sixers. Sixers haven't played a game with Embiid or Chris Paul. I'm not Chris Paul.
Well, George was back last night.
Yeah,
Paul.
George.
Oh, he was back. Okay, but
Yeah, and he missed the game winner. Waved off Tyrese
nice.
Maxey.
Well, we'll just assume they're going to get better. We'll stick with the Bucks. They're going to get better. They have Dame and freaking Giannis, so we'll assume they'll be better, and we'll assume that the Hawks will just keep sucking.
Yeah, I mean, Tim called it though. He predicted Hawks would be at the 9 spot to end the year. That's where they're at right now. But like you're saying, Stuart, Sixers and Bucks are down there, so assuming they get better, that knocks the Hawks to at least the 11 seed. The only thing I don't see keeping up is the Nets are playing 500 basketball. So, yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see, but yeah, I'm gonna die on the hill of the Hawks are bums this year.
Hashtag Hawks are bums. There you go.
Spurs
Oh,
subscription was that?
oh, yes, exactly. That's what I wanted to chat about for half a second. Oh my gosh. So I sent this in the group. Let's see, Jeff G, Spurs, Ken's five. He reported that the Spurs launched the Spurs subscription for the 2024-2025 season, which is a for fans with a flexible and affordable way to go to games. Spurs subscription guarantees fans seats for three separate pre-selected games per month for, wait for it, $49 a month. That's unbelievable value. Fans have the convenience of guaranteed seats with the flexibility of choosing which games to attend and the ability to upgrade seats or add guests when available. So that's, I know value when I see it. That's a damn good deal. Holy moly. You get to go to 3 games a year. You get,
Three
priority
games a
access
month.
to up. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, that's what I meant. Sorry. A month. You get to, have access to upgrading your seats if you want. $49. Are you kidding me? A month? Goodness.
Disclaimer, that's
Yeah.
for one ticket per game. So
One
hopefully
ticket.
you can add guests, but that is for one ticket a game.
I think it
Still,
says,
kick-ass deal.
yeah, I think it's maybe not. I thought it said you could discounted tickets. I wonder if it says on the pamphlet thing, it says discounted tickets, which means like discounted tickets for other seats, I guess maybe.
I think it's for the 3 games per month because when you sent that tweet, I
Okay.
went into the replies and I think Jeff actually responded to it. Someone asked the question and he said, "Yeah, it's right now it's for single seats." But
Okay.
yeah, like you said, you can add guests onto it if it's available. And shit, if I can go 3 games a month by myself, I'll go 3 games a month by myself.
Yeah.
You can see Wimby for 49 bucks a month, 3 times. Hell yeah.
You got to get Spurs in the, Spurs fans in the door somehow. I think that's a good deal. I like the value there, the value prop. So we'll see how that turns out. Again, really early into the season. I don't think that we'll be able to do that and run that with when we have a championship contending team. I don't think the prices will be that low or if we'll offer that again in general. So I say Spurs fans, Spurs Bros fans, take advantage right now if you can. So
Last thing, we've got 4 games.
yes.
Rockets, Blazers, Jazz, and Kings till we record next.
Okay.
I'll go around the circle right quick and see what do y'all say record is. Rockets at home, or excuse me, Rockets in Houston, Blazers at home, Jazz at home, Kings at home.
I'm going 4-0. I think
Hey,
we get hot. Yeah, win these first three. They're very winnable games, and then by then we'll be above 500. Have Sacramento, who's obviously the toughest team on over these next 4 games, but I'm back to positive stew. I'm going 4-0 this week.
hell
Gosh.
yeah.
I am going to say 3-1. I think we I think we drop tomorrow night's game, unfortunately. I know we hate the Rockets, but I think that's going to be a tough game in Houston, but then win the next three. They're all home games. Should beat Portland, should beat Utah, and I don't know, Sacramento. I'm not that impressed with. I mean, DeMar, we had him here for a few years. He makes them better, but they can't play defense. I think we can beat Sacramento.
Ooh. So I'm in Tim's camp. I would be in Stu's camp but it comes down to the Rockets game tomorrow, which will be interesting. Now we do play Trailblazers. That's a back-to-back. So we've got a Wednesday, Thursday game. Not much of a travel, right? We're going to be in Houston, then go back to San Antonio. So it's not going to be too much. But back-to-back in general, don't know how that'll treat us. Good thing is that Trailblazers are not that great. So I say 3-1 definitive answer. And we drop either the Rockets game or the Kings game, one of the two. And I say we go 3-1. Reagan,
Screw it. 4-0. Let's go, Stu.
let's go.
I
Love it.
say it's gonna be toughest game is gonna be in Houston, without Jeremy to spice things
Ah,
up, stir things
dang
up.
it.
But I'm going to watch that game with a couple other Spurs fans and a couple other Rockets fans at Cosm up here in Dallas tomorrow night.
Nice.
It's that cool viewing experience where it's like the panoramic screen. If y'all have seen that, so I'm
Yeah, I
excited to
have.
check
That's
that
dope.
out. So can't let anybody get wind that I thought we were going to lose that game going into it. And I'm going to go watch some Rockets guys, but beat the Rockets. Wemby dominates Klingen game 2. Jazz beat the shit out of them again, just like we did last week. And then Harrison Barnes revenge game against the Kings. He goes off.
I like
4-0.
it.
Let's
Let's get
go.
it.
Let's
Let's
go.
get it.
4-0.
Good takes. Good
We
takes.
convene next week and we'll be 7-4.
Ooh.
Boom. I really hope so. All without Jeremy, that would be incredible.
All
Yeah.
without Devin too, unless he gets back this week, but we don't know when he's coming back. So
Right.
again, at the start of the season, we were all saying 4-6, maybe 5-5, our first 10. If we could somehow come out of here 7-4 after 11, we would take that. That'd be amazing.
Hell yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yep. All right, gang. Let's go do this thing. Until next time.
Yeah, from the Spurs Bros. Go Spurs, go.